Hey everyone, good to see you. So today I'm with my friend and fellow gardener Chantal.
Hello.
And we're going to do some winter sowing. And we're going to show you, I'm going to tell you a little bit about winter sowing, why we do it, and what tools we use, the seeds that we use and that we can start now, the process of taking care of it. So the reasons why we start winter sowing is we can get quite a few weeks of early start on our seeds. What I usually use for tools, Chantal's going to go over, but first of all, you're going to need some kind of clear container to start a greenhouse type environment. So today we're using milk jugs, but you can also use clear juice containers. You can use when you buy those freshly cooked chickens, you can use those, or any of those spring mix salads that have those nice big deep reservoir. You can also use those containers. Okay, and Chantal, now we're going to go inside her garage, and Chantal's going to start us off by showing us what other tools we'll need.
For this winter gardening, we want to create a greenhouse, and so we're using milk container, very inexpensive and easy, with simple tools to use to cut cheap rocks. Use the scissors as well to go around, and we're going to use tape. Yeah. And I've got a drill there with a mesh of about 1/8 of an inch. So it's a good size. It doesn't make it too big, and it's good enough to kind of drain the water and without losing the soil.
Right, yeah. And you don't have to have a drill, but that's going to make it a lot faster.
Yes.
To cut the holes in the bottom, you can use X-Acto knives. In the past, I've used a hammer and a screwdriver. So whatever, it doesn't have to be really fancy. We also have some gloves. Other supplies we have is Chantal's wheelbarrow. We just filled it with some moisture control Miracle-Gro just potting soil. Some people have used seed starting mix, but I find that the seed starting mix is too lofty and it loses its liquid. It just dries out too easily. So this is quite good. Now it's moisture control, so I'm going to keep an eye on it. But we've got a wheelbarrow, we've got our shovel, and we've got tons of water to fill it in.
Moisturize it. Yeah,
yes, because we're going to need to make it really quite wet.
Yeah. We have different seeds.
Yep.
The seeds I selected is a flowering for my flower garden. So I've got flowering kale, and I've got hybrid flowering kale on stem.
Yep.
We also have some foxglove,
nice.
And some poppies.
Yes.
As well as some balloon flowers. I'll use that because it's plecodon, yes. And we also have vegetables that we can start at this point. Kale to eat is curly kale, so it's very pretty and decorative at the same time.
Chantal and I got different kinds. So I've got a Osaka pink, and then
Osaka red.
This Osaka red is it's so glorious. It gets a dark kind of blacky burgundy leaf, and of course with the cold it stimulates that. It gets brighter in color and stuff.
Oh, beautiful.
And so then we've got this. This is pigeon white. You have pigeon white too, right?
Yeah, I really like that color when I saw it on TV. And I also have some songbird red.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Songbird red. I wish Stokes doesn't put colored pictures on it. But
yes, unfortunately. On the computer, when you go and select them, they have them with the color. I was disappointed when I received them at home and they're in black and white.
Yes.
But on the if you go on Stokes Seeds website, then you can see what the color of the flowers, each flowers are. So it's really pretty, better than black and white.
Right, better than black and white. I especially like these, Chantal, because they're on a stem. So they get taller.
Yes.
And you can cluster them together in pots and stuff like that.
And for me, I selected those because I have tulips And
Oh, yeah.
also I have garlic that are blooming early spring, and these will be more like August and September.
Right.
And so that's going to replace my old bed of tulips, so it's not an empty bed for the rest of the year.
Right, that's really nice to do. So basically, we've got hardy perennials, hardy annuals, hardy vegetables, cold-tolerant veggies, and anything that needs a period of stratification on it, cold stratification, or things that you can start around now. Now, there's a website that I follow that's really great. It categorizes things in zone, like plants in zone. So if you're in zone 3, what you can start in February, what you can start in March, what you can start in April, and what you can start in June, like not in June, in May. And then the same thing for zone 4, 5, and 6. And what I'll do is I'll put that in a link below so that you can see, you know, according to your zone, what you could start. And it's a little bit of an experiment anyways. And it's fun to do, it's cheap. So like if I was going to, like last year I bought some grow lights. They were $120 each, and that was the cheap place. That was Lee Valley I found them at. They're sun blasters and 6,400 kilowatts. Anyways, basically covers all stages of a plant's growth. So, but they're expensive. And because, you know, I want to reduce some of my costs, that's what I'm going to do. Other places are like $190, and if you're doing 2 per shelf, yeah, you can imagine that adds up pretty quickly. So, so I'm not going to do that for all my stuff, just some of it. Some things that I want to start early. So, for example, these foxgloves. One thing about these is they're a biannual, so that means they'll form their rosette in the first year and flower in the second. But I do have foxgloves that I've started under my grow lights that bloom in the first year if you start them early enough. So that's why I'm starting them under my grow lights, just to see if I can get them to bloom in this year. But these won't bloom this year. So you kind of have to be quite patient with it, which I'm not always as patient, but...
It's hard to be patient when you're excited to see the flowers.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I find like with a smaller garden, like, okay, here's Chantal, she's over here. I find with a smaller garden, like I just don't want to wait, and I don't want to have things that are empty in my garden.
Yes.
You want to take us through the steps?
So you'll correct me as we go. Because we need to create some drainage in case we overwater.
Yes.
And we're going to create some holes into the bottom of the container.
Yeah. Chantal's going to do some drilling here and show us what she's
it's
got
not
going on.
strategic, it's just 4 holes at the bottom. And just push it lightly on it, but not too hard. And then rotate. And there we go.
Nice.
It's all done, so it's
Awesome.
easy.
And you're going to cut this one too, so we can see how that's done.
So I like to start it with the X-Acto knife and leave the handle. So we're going to start it right here. And then I like to continue with the scissors because I have more control.
Yeah, it seems to be easier with the scissors, doesn't it?
Yeah. Kind of try to go in a straight line, kind of go and meet my other line, but not going all the way, so that I have the opening like this.
Yeah, you want the handle so you can open it.
And then we can see our holes at the bottom.
Nice.
For drainage.
Nice.
Yeah, so we're just going to pour some water in it. Now, if people don't have a wheelbarrow, just a big container will do.
Because you don't want it so wet that it's dripping wet.
Do I fill it right to the top, or do I leave it a little bit of an inch?
I leave a little bit of a lip, but usually I try to fill it quite
high. So maybe a half an inch to the top?
Half an inch or an inch to the top.
And it a little
Yeah,
bit?
I do a little pressing, just like to ferment. So it actually takes quite a bit of soil. Then you've got lots of room for the roots to grow. Can you see that? There we go, about that much. These containers, they're already outside. You don't have to harden them off.
You can plant them sooner in the garden?
I wouldn't say sooner.
Yeah.
Like you still want to wait till the last frost, which is like maybe the 21st.
Yeah.
But sometimes what I will do is I'll transfer them into little pots.
So you're using this as like a starter seed type of thing?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And then you transfer them up in,
Yeah.
in maybe April if you have a good plant?
Yeah, I'll have to check when I did that last time,
Yeah.
and I'll put that on the screen. But
Nice.
but yeah, I transferred them into maybe a 4-inch pot.
Nice.
But as soon as what I did like last year, I think what I made a mistake of is just kind of waiting to plant them outside, and they kind of languished in their pot.
Yeah.
So it's best as soon as, May 21st comes along, or the week after the first frost here in Calgary, is that you put them out into the garden, because they do so much better in the garden beds rather than
Yes.
in their pots.
Yes.
So even though I transfer them to a larger 4-inch pot,
They still can't wait to be in the garden.
they can't wait to be in the garden, and they do way better that way. When you're putting it outside and sitting it outside in the milk jugs, things like cold tolerant veggies, so broccoli, kale,
Cabbage.
cabbage, spinach will just be started around this time, but like things like tomatoes, you're not going to want to start until May outside. So be aware that you can't start everything at this time, and maybe refer to that list, or there's lots of information online depending on what you want to start, but not everything can be started as early as this. So now that we've got our containers done, like we've cut, we drilled holes into the bottom, we've cut around, we have a lip, we filled with a fairly wet soil, so it's not too drippy. We're now going to plant.
Awesome. This
is really
the
fun.
best part.
Yeah, really fun. So what we've got here first is we're going to start a little bit of the scabiosa, and we've soaked this for about a half an hour, and you can see, I don't know if you can see that, but the seeds are floating around. Always read the instructions, because they'll have different guidelines to
So they were saying
starting.
to soak this kind. Okay.
Yeah, and
Very
sometimes
good.
like this, they didn't say how long to soak, so we think we maybe soak them for 30 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Usually with the seed, it's usually twice as large as the seed is the general the idea of how deep you plant it. With this sort of thing, usually what I do is I just poke a hole in a few places. So the more plants you put in, the more you'll have to separate when they get larger. So like if you have a lot of milk jugs, then you're going to want to kind of spread your seeds out. If you just have a few, then you just will have to separate and be very careful.
But if they're saying 2 inch apart, we still can put quite a bit.
Oh
in
yeah,
there.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
follow that guideline. I would just put as many as you think you want.
Yeah.
And then based on how many containers you have. And so I'm just like kind of poking.
Oh, so you're putting quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'll probably separate it, and like for me, I'm just going to start one container with this.
Yeah.
I really like actually scabiosa. I don't know if you've ever tried to grow it.
No, that's.
It prefers like a sunny location, and so yeah, but they're fantastic flower because they just bloom and bloom and bloom and bloom, and like long stem with just this beautiful
Flower.
Yeah, so they're really quite lovely. And this one, this mix has like pink and white and purple, and also like a burgundy color, so a really nice mix. We're just going to take our hands in here. I'm just going to drop these out. So I might put a couple in each one, or because there's quite a few here, and we've already soaked them, so we have to kind of use them.
Does it take longer in the winter for them to sprout, or is it going to sprout within 2 to 3 weeks?
Oh, it won't sprout in 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
It's going to sit there and languish for a while.
Okay, so it's really preparing them from being in the cold and preparing them, and when they're ready, they're going to do their thing.
Yeah, when the conditions are right,
Yeah.
then they'll start. And so you might be like, oh, this is not working, this is not working.
Okay.
So you just have
So
to
not
wait.
to be discouraged.
Don't be discouraged. And even though you know, a packet of seeds is not expensive.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not a big investment, so, but I would say, don't be discouraged, just watch that you don't let it dry and you don't get it too wet. Just keep an eye on it. And then, okay, so that's our scabiosa, so we're gonna have to definitely label these because or else
Yes,
we're gonna get
'cause,
mixed up. Like, I even find like when I've got to find out a better system of labeling because sometimes I get mixed up. So I'm just going to take this,
Sorry.
and I haven't got any particular technique. I just like, it's a little clumsy and you just go for it. This is really sticky stuff, so. See, you've got a good idea. Yeah, maybe we'll do that with this one too.
Yeah, my container is a little bit wet, so.
Wet and dirty.
Yeah. And then I want to be able to label it.
So one thing to note, that when you're putting this out, you don't necessarily have to have snow. So I think a lot of people think, oh, I don't have any snow, or like they're worried if like we have Chinook here in Calgary. What happens, there's no snow outside. It's not the snow that matters, it's just the cold. So it's that time of cold. So this might not be exactly, let's stick it on a little bit. Sometimes I get a little gap in here.
So I wrote, like I said, my name at the top and at the bottom in case the top gets separated from the bottom.
Right, and Chantal had a great idea, like if it's fading, just go in there and just redo it a little bit. But like, there is a fabric kind of duct tape that might work a little bit better, but this is what I had, and so I just used what I had.
Very good.
So, and there might be, you know, it might not stick in one pot, but that's okay because it's the basic idea of just creating some kind of greenhouse. You're gonna want to not keep the lid, so make sure you don't put the lid on because it needs, you know.
Not to be too humid?
It's not too humid and not too hot, and also just water. So if it snows
So
or
and it will go in.
yeah, so you're gonna want to.
And isn't it there where you water from anyway? Right?
Yeah,
You put
exactly.
your
So
spray-
this one, which actually might be really good, because it's slow pour
Yeah.
or something like this, right, where you can get in there and you can
And
just go
then
like
just
that.
spray and then it's
Yeah.
gentle. Because you're saying not to displace the seed, because the seeds are right on top, right?
Yeah, so something like a hose won't work because it's too powerful.
So we can put that outside right away.
Yeah,
It's done,
yeah.
it's labeled, and so that's wonderful. And then it has its own little greenhouse. Where do I put it outside? In full sun, in the south place, or in more shady place?
You can do either one of those. Like usually I put mine in a part sun location.
Okay.
Because you could put it in the sun, but you risk it drying out just a little bit
Too
more.
fast, yes.
Yeah, so, and then maybe in a shady location you get
Not enough light.
not enough light, or maybe just too wet.
Too wet, okay.
So I mean, really you just kind of adjust it. If it gets too hot, you might just pull it out of the sun. And when we get in the warmer, really warm, when we're getting like plus 20 and plus, you might just want to pull the tape and lift the lid.
Yes.
So it just doesn't get too humid and hot in there
Now,
for the seed.
you do that just during the daytime, because even though
Yeah.
it's plus 20 during the day, during the night it can go still minus.
Yeah, so you might want to cover it again. So don't cut
Yeah.
off the lid too soon. You just
Open up and
open
then
it up
reclose them
and then
again.
just reclose it if you want.
Okay.
Yeah. Ooh,
Okay,
this is gonna
so
be fun.
let's go outside and put that
Okay,
outside.
so we go put it outside. Here we go. We're following Chantal outside.
So here, I have an area that's part sun. It's the east sun comes this way, and the south sun is there pretty much all morning, right till about 2 o'clock.
Nice.
So there'll be a lot of light, and plus it's protected by the house in the garage.
Nice.
And so,
Exactly. So it has a little bit of wind protection.
so I'm going to put wind protection in between the garage. We can fill up the whole area. So I put as many milk jug as I can put down.
Okay, nice. Okay, guys, you got to see what we did. Oh, look at this. Chantal, we got so much
It's not much of a
done.
garden yet, but it's some hope for flowers.
Okay, that's it for today. Until the next time. Bye.
Goodbye.